It's part 6 of 100 ideas for your gap year, and today we're going to be talking about wellness activities and opportunities that will soothe your mind, body, and soul on your gap year. First up, meditation retreat. You don't have to commit to like months and months at an ashram in order to get wellness benefits. If meditation or mindfulness is something that you're hoping to work on during your gap year, then booking a multi-day retreat can be an awesome way to jumpstart that as a habit. And if you don't want to commit to multiple days at a retreat center, there are a lot of online courses that are run by retreat centers, so you can start researching that. A great resource for this is bookretreats.com. They have all sorts of listings for different types of retreats, including all different types of meditation retreats. If you are interested in learning more about Buddhism and also giving back in the form of service work, I highly recommend looking into teaching English to young monks. You can do this in countries like Thailand, Laos, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. And generally what happens in these countries is that people enter the monkhood for all sorts of different reasons. It could be religious piety. It could also be a way to make sure that a young person is educated, because monks are educated for free in many of these countries. So volunteers can come in and help those monks with their English skills as a way to give them an upper hand in their education, so that if they leave the monkhood when they turn 18, they can go on to other types of education or enter the tourism space with that very valuable skill in those areas. This one is becoming increasingly popular, and I have to say I have visited several different retreat centers that do yoga teaching certifications, and this is such an amazing way to spend gap time because you get about a 20 to 30 day wellness experience yourself, where you get to do yoga every day. You get to meet people who are also really interested in improving their own yoga journey and yoga skills. And at the end, you get a certification that you can then use to get a part or full-time job as a yoga teacher. So one of my favorite locations for yoga teaching certifications is Bali, for obvious reasons, since I went there and visited a couple really amazing centers where you can get that certification. I also love Costa Rica. Guatemala has some great spots. Basically, you can also do this in the States, of course, but I'm partial to travel. But in any case, if you love yoga, consider getting your teacher certification because it's a great way to level up your game. I've said it before, I will say it again. You don't need to go to Bali to have an amazing and meaningful experience on your gap year. If you're going to be home or close to home for part or all of your gap year, consider giving as a form of your own wellness. And mentoring youth in your community or at a school that you used to go to can be such a meaningful way, especially if you've moved through your own mental health challenges or personal social challenges. Giving that wisdom back to the younger generation is so worth your time and a great way to spend part of your gap year. Start or continue therapy. If you're not currently in therapy, this is a great time to start. It's a great time to form that habit of creating a relationship with a therapist or continuing one that you already know and trust. This is a part of your lifelong mental health journey that can start on your gap time. Wellness can also mean spiritual, and one of the quintessential spiritual journeys that you can do on a gap year is walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain. There's actually multiple routes. There's a famous one that runs across northern Spain, which is the one I'm referring to. It takes about 30 days to do it end to end. I highly recommend doing the whole thing if you can make the time. And this is basically a pilgrimage route that has been used for hundreds of years. And now any person can walk this route. There's hostels along the way. You can get a pilgrim passport and get stamps along the way. And at the end, you end up at this amazing cathedral, and it is a truly amazing spiritual journey. And it can be a religious journey as well if you are a Christian. It can also just be a spiritual and mindfulness journey if you want to walk the path that so many have walked before. Consider a program with a spiritual component. And again, this could be if you are a religious person seeking out a religious-based program to really expand your own spirituality can be amazing. But spirituality means something different to everybody. If you want to commune with nature or want to include meditation, yoga, or other mindfulness practices into your year, there are experiential programs that are semester-long or year-long opportunities where you can dive deeper into those spiritual practices that mean something to you. Consider a work stay in an intentional community. So basically an intentional community can be a very small cluster of families or a very well-established multi-family community. But basically it's a community that makes their own rules and often has spiritual or intentional progressive elements around things like sustainability, group governance, those kinds of things. You can find listings for intentional communities on the Foundation for Intentional Communities website where you can filter for different metrics. Lastly, consider doing a low-tech or nature-based program. Now, a lot of outdoor education programs are naturally low-tech or no-tech because you're going to be out of service, but other opportunities are intentionally low-tech, meaning that they have rules and guidance around the use of phones or other types of technology on the experience. Now, this can sometimes be a little intimidating at first because you're like, well, how can I live without my phone? But when you go through that experience, you come away from it being like, I don't even need my phone, which is an amazing thing to have as a life skill moving into adulthood and not being tied to your devices all the time. There you have it. 10 new ideas for your wellness journey for your gap year. Stay tuned for part 7.